topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
To Triversity Talk. I'm Wendy Stewart. It's Wednesday with Wendy. Maybe I'll change the name of the show to that. I kind of like that. It's got a ring to it. I hope everybody is doing well on this wonderful Wednesday. Spring is here, even though it was very cold today, but we're all feeling like very optimistic about things, right? A little bit more, because there's been things happening lately that make us feel like, you know, there's hope out there, right? And I mean more than the daffodils pushing their heads up through the ground. So if you're tuning in the Milford, Pennsylvania area, please stop by our amazing center, the Triversity Pride Center. We have open hours, and you can find out about all the upcoming things we have. We are currently looking for people, still probably, we have openings for our new project where we will be doing writing and art for the people that come aboard, and more about that on our website. And yeah, it's all good. May 24th. I have to give that a shout out. I know you're all saying, what is she talking about? That's so far ahead. Please save the day. We're having our Triversity Garden Party then. And we're also working on a field trip. I am working on a field trip. As soon as I have a date, it'll be on the Triversity Facebook page as well as our website, to go to Luna Park. For those of you that don't know Luna Park, Ricky Boscarino is the amazing artist who built, I don't even know how to describe it, like this surreal castle turreted, amazing place where arts thrive, and every single room in it, and the rooms go on forever. They're all different. They're filled with mosaic, color, artwork, bowling balls. I know you're saying to yourself bowling balls, but that's the best way I can describe it. We are going to be having a field trip there. I'm working on some dates for June, and yeah, please stay in touch with us so you don't miss a thing. So tonight's guest is, I don't know, perfect for this spring awakening feeling that I'm having right now. I'm so excited about this show. I even gave it a title. It's called AIDS, Activism, and the LGBTQ Community. Okay, we are featuring a wonderful photographer, historian, archivist, photojournalist who's worked with the LGBTQ community through the decades, capturing pride marches, protests, lifestyle people, the AIDS epidemic. She's been there to document everything. Okay. She has a compelling archive of photographs. And without further ado, please put your hands together for the amazing Donna Aceto. How's that for an intro?
That's big. Very big.
You were going to say that. It was too big, right? You were like,
well, yeah, I was wondering who you were talking about.
I knew you were going to say that too. Donna, welcome to the show. I know you're busy, and I'm excited that I was able to get you here tonight, right?
Thank you.
Took time out, and really, really great to have you. I've only recently, like, we've been in the same community for a long time, and I've seen you. I've seen your photographs, of course, at Gay City News, amongst other publications, but our paths didn't cross until recently. No. It's like a chessboard there, isn't it? And
well, mutual friend, that's how it works.
Mutual friends all bring us together. And you know what? Let's give a shout out to the amazing Libby Edwards, who's so great at bringing people together. And I got to tell you, discovering talent. She knows every single performer that's doing the most impactful work. And Libby is a mover and a shaker and a tastemaker. I like that. I just made that up too. She's a tastemaker.
It sounds good. That's good for Libby.
So Donna, I want to just start with how you got into photography, because you started out on Wall Street. Am I correct?
Yeah, that was my first real job, and I did that for 30.
This isn't a real job. You've completely devoted your life to this. Your photographs.
Well, no. I said that was my first real job out of college, I guess.
Wow.
So I did that for 13 years, but I always loved photography. I always did some kind of photography. And so after 13 years on Wall Street, I somehow managed to get myself into the magazine photo industry and magazine. I wound up like working as a picture editor at some great places, Life and Time.
But that's not, you know what? Yeah. I know those times, and believe it or not, I too kind of started out on Wall Street at Payne Weber, Jackson Curtis.
We may have worked there at the same time. I worked there.
That's where you were working. Well,
for a while I did. Actually, I worked there twice.
It's kismet. And I was taking courses at the New York Institute of Finance, but I'm a creative person, and I realized I was going to be buried in that job. So how did you I'm curious, let's talk about the transition from, what you did to now you're a photo editor. That's a big leap.
Yeah, it was. I wanted to get off of Wall Street for a lot, especially, I couldn't be out. And then the AIDS epidemic happened. And, Wall Street is the first place the jokes start about any horrifying thing.
Right.
And so when AIDS, I just had to get out of there. So what I did was I did some research, and I was seeing someone who had found an article about Evan Chris, who was a picture researcher at Time Magazine, wound up running the New York Times Magazine there, going from a little researcher. And she was like, "Oh, I found your next career. This is what you should be doing." This girl I was.
You cold called this person? Like you just
no, I cold called the woman who ran the Time Life picture collection. Wow. Because I thought, that would be a great, way to start. And I talked to her, about, and she said, "I can't hire you like this, but when something opens, I would definitely take you in, and hire you." Wow. So, which was great. And then, so what I did was I left Wall Street. I'm confused about what I did when, but I got a job at a picture agency. Terrible job, no money, but it was a picture agency.
It was short, but it was short. We're talking about
and then when Beth had an opening, she called me. She kept her word.
Right.
So I did picture editing for a long time. And then
did you work with like a Getty and some of those agencies? What when you were doing picture editing?
I worked with all the agencies that Getty took over.
Oh, you're kidding. How amazing.
That don't exist. Archive Photo. Yep. All those great Bettman Archive. Amazing agencies. And then what happened when Getty, and what was the other one? There was one that Bill Gates started too, but it eventually went down. But they started taking over all these photo agencies.
Yes.
And they hired people that had no idea what they were doing. And half of the pictures wound up in Iron Mountain in Pennsylvania. And it's it was horrible when the corporations came over. But when I did research, there were tons of wonderful small picture agencies.
Yeah, I remember those times well, and then Getty ended up like running the whole show, and things became very, very commercialized. How did that affect you and your work at that time?
It was just confusing, like who has this? And it was hard too, because you would call for something and they'd be like, "No, we don't have that." And like, but no, you bought this agency and this agency had this picture. I've used this, and they'd be like, so it was just odd. It was just
No.
odd. It was different. They like let go of a lot of stuff, and you just had to, punt, whatever.
So while
So
you were there, doing all of everyone else's pictures, you of course were shooting yourself,
yeah,
right?
I was volunteering. I was volunteering like at GMHC and AIDS Walk and all those kinds of things,
Right. Well,
when
okay.
they had
So
events.
you really got also a foot in the door for building the archive that you have, really. From it's important, the things you're saying, getting out there and volunteering, something I do like crazy. It is a surefire way to meet really great people and
Yeah.
definitely hone your craft, which is what you did. You've done the AIDS Walk, New York and San Francisco, 25 years.
Oh, more. I did LA too. I still
You
do
did.
San Francisco. I still do San
I
Francisco.
know you do.
And
Yeah.
I cover New York for Gay City News. I would never desert them, but my relationship with GMHC changed a
Right.
lot, and LA, they do their own. Everybody does their own now. I used to shoot with the producers that produce them all. So that
Wow.
was why the big circle.
Of
But
course.
I volunteered. And
Yeah. That's the way to
but
do
and
it.
but also, GMHC would have a lot of other kinds of events. And at those events, I would meet the executive director of,
Of course.
wherever else, all these other places. So when I left, when the picture industry changed so much, and I left, then these people actually hired me. They'd be like, "Oh, you want, yeah,
Because you had
you,
built up, a lot of what you're
yeah,
saying is really a how to for people that are listening, because everyone goes on LinkedIn and Indeed and all of these, what do you call them, boards to try
yeah,
and meet people. What still now, the way you did it is a really, and I can tell you because all the things I get, or I'm out all the time. That's very
yeah."
obvious. Everyone says I will go to the opening of an envelope, and that is true. I'm proud of it. But I love meeting
I used
people.
to photograph those envelopes
You did.
for GMHC. They had me shooting everything.
So were you with GMHC? Let's go back a little bit in time, because I think you and I came up the same time in New York. When I came here in the late 70s, there wasn't AIDS at all. And the very early days of the epidemic, GMHC, of course, was one
Yeah,
table on the dock in Fire Island talking about this disease called GRID, right? You were
yeah,
there from the
yep.
beginning, right? When it was GRID.
I remember when it was great. I wasn't really in the community yet. I
Uh,
was still on Wall Street, and but yeah, I remember when it was grid.
right.
And it wasn't long after that I started.
Well,
But
whoever thought that
I
GM,
was here. I was here paying attention. Yes.
yes,
Just
you're right, and you saw what was happening. So,
oh, yeah.
I tell people it's hard to believe they were a table on the dock in Fire Island, in the Pines, collecting money for this grid thing that nobody really knew what it was. And then to fast forward to how quickly this epidemic spread, and how huge GMHC got. You kind of went along through the whole thing, didn't you?
It was like 1990 or something when I
Yeah.
walked in the door there. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
And I was there. I volunteered for everything they did through
wow,
2007. So it was a lot of
incredible.
years. It was like 17 years I was there
Uh, That's
volunteering.
that's a very long time. So in
Yeah.
the 17 years that you were there, what kinds of things did you learn or see in the community? For me, it was a very hard time. I literally lost a whole address book of people and half of a second address book. I called it
Yeah.
the A list was my original friends, right? And then we
Yeah.
went to the B list, the people I started to meet after, and then they started dying. Unless you live through those times, people do not understand. It was horrible,
Yeah. Yeah. It was horrible.
So were you
So
photographing during those times?
yeah, that's what I did for them. I wasn't, I wish I had it in me to be a buddy or something, but I did not do that. I
Right.
did photography for them, and I shot some clients. I shot, in-house stuff that they would do, like the Lesbian AIDS Project would have put on little parties for clients. So little things like that. I had started with AIDS Walk. That's how I found them.
Sure.
Yeah. And so I wound up shooting AIDS Walk. They would have all kinds of events, a lot of fundraisers, tons of
Yeah.
fundraisers,
They had such a
from Broadway theater things. And then
Sure.
there'd be a party after to cocktails on the roof. They had that first building with the beautiful roof, and they could have little parties up there and just make money and not have to spend it on space.
Right.
So, and yeah, they did a lot of really creative things and a lot of stuff, concerts they'd have, and I just shot everything.
You
And
shut it.
I
You had
especially
people.
shot like the donors, because you give a
Yeah.
donor a picture and they give you more money, you know?
No, you know what? But a lot of people really, I love talking to you because people don't really understand how it works. And when you see those glitzy parties and people,
Yeah.
comment on them in a negative way, I always remind people, unfortunately, at the end of the day, that's where a lot of the big bucks comes from.
Yep.
And, if you went through the whole AIDS era, it took a lot of money, a lot of money.
It did take a lot of money, and the people were, if you took a picture of somebody with a celebrity, right?
Right.
And then they'd send out of the good kindness, they'd be like, oh, we should send this to so-and-so. And then all of a sudden another check shows up from so-and-so.
That's,
Thank you for sending me
what?
this picture of
Right.
me with Reba McEntire, at the, whatever the hell it was that she was at, and thank you. And they, so it was, it works. I mean, it wasn't intentional. It just like kind of happened every
Yeah.
now and again for them. So,
Well, I also get the feeling, you were volunteering, you were doing your thing, you were shooting whatever had to be shot. How did you feel though during that time,
um, well, I mean, it was sad. It was hard. Things in New York, Giuliani was horrible, tried
Right.
to close the Division of AIDS Services. So, but the thing about it was I made some of my closest friends
During that time,
through
yeah.
during that time, through the epidemic, from GMHC, from AIDS walks in other cities. I mean, like most of my closest friends I met during the epidemic, when we were all scared and
Well,
worried, and
everybody was in it together.
yeah,
And
very
I
much so.
definitely, like you do, connect when I find them with people from that time. A lot of people are not with us anymore.
Yeah.
And every day that goes by, I find that more and more. And trying to explain to younger people, because they ask in the LGBTQ community what it was like, it's hard to find a point of reference that they would understand about colossal loss. That's what it
Yeah.
was for me. The people I loved. I was involved with Powers, Pet Owners with AIDS Resource Service.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep. And we took care of the people that had HIV or AIDS. But what my late husband, Alan Kaplan, and I did, we had a loft. We threw parties for, here we go again. It's all about the parties, Donna, right?
Yeah, well,
For those checks, but also our clients and the ones that could come are volunteers. All right. You're talking about volunteering. If anyone's listening and you're running a non-for-profit, my God, the volunteers are the most important people in the world. They make everything come together. And sometimes as volunteers, we don't always feel appreciated.
they were pretty good. They were
They
pretty good at
were good,
GMHC.
but
Yeah,
it's
they were okay. I mean, for a long time they were really good. Things change.
but things change and society changes. And
Yeah.
I looked at some of your photographs, and of course we're going to see a very, very, very small amount of them tonight. But for you now, out photographing LGBTQ community, certainly in these political times, right? It's changed from our last administration to now. What is great for you in photography now? What is challenging for you in photography now?
Well, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's great when I do like again when like a big event for like
Right.
I do the Callan Lord Hamptons party. I go out and I photograph that, and you see all these people that just want to help. I mean, they're raising money. They're not people, not necessarily my crowd, but
But they're,
it's
they're
really
raising
nice to see
money.
people. It's nice to see people that you don't know care.
Yeah.
That's really it's also I shoot a lot of stuff now like with Rise and Resist and Gays Against Guns and that kind of stuff. And that's the reason why we're in these situations is hard.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. But the good part again is, since when Donald, that guy,
Yeah. That guy.
in 2016 came, then I met a lot of new terrific people. That I have to give him credit for that. It was, him coming in was kind of like the AIDS epidemic all over again. I was
Right.
like, I met all those. I mean, a lot of the people that are out there now, I knew because they through the AIDS community then, but
Of
I've met
course.
a lot of new people too. So as depressing as it is, why we're out there, you're
Yeah.
out there with your people.
No, I agree, and I think being New York based, right? Because this show is named after the LGBTQ in Milford, Pennsylvania, that I'm a part of, and we had I think 1,400 people at the No Kings 2 weeks
That's
ago.
great.
You cannot imagine how great it is because it's not so user friendly out there. I always say in New
Oh,
York, we really are getting a pass here because for every one that doesn't agree with us, there's hundreds more that do. We've got safe spaces. We've got programs to offer people, when things get cut to the best of our ability. We've got workshops, we've got support, and it's in every direction. People don't realize in the cities, and I'm sure LA and San Francisco are the same way, there's such incredible support and so
yeah,
many people
yeah.
on your team. But when you go out to what we call flyover country, it's a whole
Hmm.
different thing.
Yeah.
And it's got to be frustrating for people. I mean, when you're shooting like Gays Against Guns and Rise and Resist, and I've had people from those organizations on the show, you're all like-minded people, and
Right.
everyone's on the same page, as we say. I don't feel isolated in New York. I feel there's always something that's going to always make me feel hopeful here, even on the most down days. And I don't get down, but lately I had to like shut down a little bit on the news once this war started, that I couldn't even wrap my head around, and the things that were going on. I'm like, this is crazy. And I think what frustrates me are the politicians that will not say it's crazy, even though they know it is. And
Yeah.
the people in this country that know it's crazy and know it's wrong, and they won't say it. You just want to take people and shake them and say, why don't you do the right thing? Which brings me to a question that involves you. You shoot very intimately. It's almost like you're inside the thing that's happening. How do you think photographs could change someone's mindset, or can it not?
I don't know that it changes their mindset, but I think it helps for people that, like you said, are in the flyover areas.
Yeah.
I think, they can look and say, oh, especially with Rise and Resist. I've talked with Jamie about this, Jamie Bauer, and how, it just to take some photos and get them up on the internet. And, some poor kid in, Iowa
Yeah.
sees it, it helps them. They
I,
know, well, somebody's out there trying to do something. It's while I'm stuck here and I don't have a lot of options, there are people just because I don't see it here,
yeah.
you know. So I
Exactly.
think I think I think they give people hope sometimes
Right.
more than and if it's maybe it can change people too. Maybe people look and say, oh my God, look at all those people that are 70 years old or 80 my age, and they feel this way.
Right.
Maybe I kind of need to rethink this, you know.
Right.
It's not like, because I remember, because like Vietnam, they looked at us and they were like, oh, they're kids, what do they know? Of course, we did stop Vietnam, but
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Now we have a lot of, we run the gamut age-wise, much more than at that time, I think.
I would totally agree with you. And I'm someone, I never used to get how art could change things. I often felt as a creative person, everybody was like a math science person. Okay. And I
Mhm.
did start out at Payne Weber, where I felt like the odd duck. And before I got into the career, I wasn't there long at all. You had many more years than I did. I lasted, I think you said 13 years. Maybe I lasted 13 months. But I remember thinking to be impactful in the world, art was just kind of like a frivolous thing. I was a kid that grew up in the Bronx, and your mother didn't encourage you to go into the arts. My mother wanted me to go work for the phone company. So I came out of that generation so I'd have something to fall back on, right? And she wanted my sister to be a teacher. So we came out of the fallback generation. Well,
Exactly. I would have loved to go on to school for photography, and there was somebody in the family that had been a photographer, and they were like, don't let her do it. I did not know this until many, many years later.
wow.
And so I wound up an English major, and an English major that winds up on Wall Street, I mean, let your kids follow what they want to do. Don't do that to them.
Well, yeah. Well, but that's where the whole idea of liberal arts in college came from. And I'm sure
Yeah.
you read, like I did this week, that Syracuse University has basically cutting out a lot of their, liberal arts creative classes
Yeah.
because of based on enrollment. We are definitely in a techie society. And I often think, I have a daughter too. I'm like, please don't let her get the creative curse, and that Alan had and I have. And
Yeah.
she's got the creative curse. She knows she has to make money while she writes her book, but she definitely has the curse of creativity. But now I feel, Donna, we can change minds with our work. I strongly feel that way. Well, I want to get to your photographs. Okay. So
Thank
one,
you.
our wonderful producer, who I would be lost if I didn't have him to do all the technical stuff on this show. Juan, can you bring up the first photograph, please? Okay. Donna, tell us. I see Rudy Giuliani. What is this about here?
Okay, that's Joey Presley, who I'm sure a lot of people know. Back when he had dreads. It was 1994. Rudy Giuliani threatened to do away with the entire Division of AIDS Services.
Wow.
So all the AIDS organizations, by 94, there were a few, it wasn't just GMHC, had a big demonstration downtown, by City Hall. And
Wow.
that's Joey Presley talking, speaking.
Well, look at the power in the body language. And that's what I meant about, being able to be in there and freeze that moment. It's a wonderful
Yeah,
photograph.
and he's just terrific. He's so smart and such a good speaker.
That
So
is a great photograph. And
thank
what's
you.
Joey Presley doing now? I have not followed them.
Oh God, where is he now? I recently saw him. He was at Hedrick Martin for a while. But I'm, I don't remember. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
No,
I'm
that's
sorry. I saw him
okay.
recently. He's doing well. He's still, doing the right thing for
He's
everybody.
still doing the
So
right thing and protesting the right
yeah,
things.
yeah.
All right, well, we're
He's
ready for the second picture.
That's the
Okay,
same demonstration.
right.
Same
Rudy to New
demonstration.
Yorkers with AIDS drop dead. I remember that. It
Yeah,
was terrible.
yeah, yeah.
I
He
remember
was it
that.
was horrifying. It was
Um,
horrifying.
but you know what is so powerful about these photographs? There are people, and I still see it, talk about New York when Giuliani was mayor and how he cleaned up New York. And it's like living in a parallel universe. You want to, say, wait a minute, that's not what happened
Yeah,
at all.
you weren't here. You were not
Right.
here.
There
Yeah.
were people that were here, and it's kind of like now that are only seeing like some sanitized version of what they want to believe. I remember him shutting down all the nightclubs. You remember that? And He did not change New York for the better, although there's probably people listening that would argue that with me.
Yeah, well, he turned Times Square into Disneyland.
Right, exactly.
Know?
Right.
And people, tourists love it, but people that lived here were not wild about it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I know. And we don't even recognize it for what it was.
Yeah.
Okay, Juan, the next one. Love this.
That was, I believe, I always say it was the second one. I'm pretty sure it was the second one. That was taken at the second Dyke March. And
Wow.
that was in 1994 as well. And it was, I hadn't gone to the first one. I was, I was volunteering at GMHC, and I worked with the editor of the paper there, a magazine that they had there. And she was like, "We're going to go to the Dyke March." I'm like, "What's the Dyke March?"
We didn't know what the Dyke March was.
And that was from the first Dyke March I was ever at. They were just standing around waiting for it to start.
Amazing.
But it was amazing. It was really like a sight to behold, to see a zillion dikes. I'd never seen so many in one place.
No, I know, right?
Right.
I have never gotten to the Dyke March. I have seen, of course, Dykes on Bikes. They kick off the Pride March every year.
Right. Yeah.
But this is
a whole different thing.
You should go
sometime. You should go once, just once.
It is a whole different thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Juan. These are great. Oh, wow.
So when the Dyke March comes down Fifth Avenue and goes into Washington Square Park, and there's a huge fountain in Washington Square Park, as we know. And people jump in and they take their clothes off and they jump around in the fountain. But this young woman had a bicycle. She brought her bicycle into the fountain, was riding around the fountain on her bike, nude.
How fabulous!
So
that's
what that is.
So this is very different from the first two photos that we looked at, which in terms of like lighting and edging and composition are very, very crisp. This is beautiful.
Thank you. I mean, there was a lot of luck involved with this one.
Yeah, I know, but this is like it's like a painting, right?
Yeah, because it's so soft. Sure. Yeah. I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, Juan.
This
Gorgeous.
was, this, it was Earth Week, and I think it was 2022. And Extinction Rebellion. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
I know who they are. I'm not familiar with them. I do know who they are.
Well, they come up with the most artistic and beautiful things at their demonstrations, and sometimes involves dancing, but this was so this was at a march that they held for Earth Week in 2022, and I came up alongside and photographed this woman, and I'm looking and I get and I didn't realize it was somebody I knew, which is probably why the eyes are so great, was because she recognized me and I didn't recognize her.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it was great.
But it's a beautiful and again compelling photograph.
Thank you.
Okay, next one.
In 2023 for Trans Day of Visibility, it's first I can remember, but there was a big T-Dove march, but it was organized by the young people. It was very youth organized, as opposed to the transgender leaders that we all know. This somehow came together through kids, and so there were a lot of trans kids there, and I was very lucky. I thought this kid was just beautiful.
Oh yeah. So this was 2023, you said?
Yeah. So it was I'm trying to think what exactly. I guess I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it came up, but it's an annual thing, Trans Day of Visibility. I mean, like
No, I
Biden
know
was
every
still in
year, but
office.
everybody I see at Trans Day of Visibility and in the protests in general, and I do want to talk to you about that, it's definitely skewing older as
Yeah.
opposed to younger.
Yep.
And that's upsetting to me. And again, we'll go through the photographs, but I do want to get your feedback on that. But this
That's
is
why this one was so fabulous, because it was the first time I, was at something that was really primarily youth
kids.
organized,
Yeah,
and they did a great job.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, next one.
Um,
Gorgeous. Oh my God.
that was the same day. That
A-
was, yeah,
Absolutely
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, yeah. There's nothing to say really about it.
Well, there
Just,
is something to say because whether it was intentional or not, she's so made up and it's gorgeous. And
oh yeah.
The Sephora sign, if that had only been a little bigger, would have been an amazing ad for Sephora.
Well, I'm glad it wasn't.
Right.
But yeah, I was concentrating on her, and there was so much crowd behind her.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about Sephora in the makeup at all.
No, but it's kind of
I just
funny.
wanted to get in tight on her,
Yep.
because, with the hair and the
It's
flag,
everything.
I just thought she did a lovely job. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely beautiful.
I should say
Okay.
they. I don't know who.
Yeah, they are
So,
absolutely beautiful though. All
right.
right, on the next one. Ah,
That's Queen Jean, who I'm sure everybody knows. Um, and that was taken when Cecilia Gentili passed away. There was a very immediate and quick memorial, that, I mean, packed. People were pouring out of the doors at Judson Church. And
wow.
and that's Queen Jean. Like, she kind of facilitated the whole thing. And so that's her, speaking about and thinking about Cecilia,
Wow.
her death devastated everyone. Everybody loved her. And
Very emotional photograph,
yeah,
really.
yeah. And Jean looked beautiful. She always looks beautiful. She designed the costumes for Jellicle Ball on Broadway right now.
I did not know that at all. I
Yes.
haven't seen the show. Wow.
And she also designed the costumes for, I can't remember the name of the show. It did really well, but it had a short run, but it was an all women cast, and they were talking. I don't know. I think it was maybe took place like 70s consciousness raising kind of show thing, but she did 2 Broadway shows this season.
God
She
bless
could
her.
very well be a Tony winner very soon.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
and look at this capture you've got of her, you know?
Yeah, I love her. She's such a nice woman.
You can see, you can see it and you can really that's the thing about the way you shoot, you can feel what the people are feeling. That's an empathetic way of capturing them. And I think when you're trying to communicate something that's important. All right, we'll do the next one.
Ah, this is Chase Strangio, and that's Chase with the tie. And I don't know the name of the other gentleman, but also an attorney with the ACLU. And this was coming into the crowd from the Supreme Court. Chase was the first trans man to argue a case in front of the Supreme Court. He argued the Scarpetti case. And there's Lala in the hat. A lot of people know Lala in the
Right.
purple, because she works at the ACLU as well. And this was just, the excitement of the crowd. There were, tons of people there for the argument. Unfortunately, we lost, but it was still very exciting to have, a trans man argue at the Supreme Court.
So, okay, and you can say, right, well, unfortunately we lost, but the fact that this photograph exists at all is because you took it. All right. And it's really what it represents at the end of the day.
And
right?
he did it. And he did it. And he was
did it.
fabulous. He did a wonderful job. If it were the last Supreme Court, he would have won for sure.
Right.
But, you know, he was up against all those Trump, you know, people.
Trumpster as well. But
So
you do capture like the joy of what people around him and what he had done at that moment.
yeah. I mean, anyone who was inside said he did a great job.
Yeah.
You know,
Like, really great. Okay, next.
Oh, okay. So every Thursday, Rise and Resist does a silent vigil outside of 26 Federal Plaza. And it started out small, and it's gotten to be more and more people every week. And you can see both sides are lined, right, with people, and more people were coming down the middle
Yeah.
as well this day. It was, you know, it's just a weekly silent vigil, you know, in support of immigrants. This woman you're looking at here, Jenny Hines, does a lot of this stuff. And you know, the woman's 86 years old. and she does not miss a beat ever.
No, she
So,
doesn't look like she misses a beat.
yeah,
And
she doesn't. She's yeah. She yeah.
you know what?
She
Being
means
able to stand up for
business.
what's right it doesn't have an age on it. And I guess, and I do want to talk to you about this, the fact that so many people that are involved in the movement now are of older persuasion,
Yeah.
not younger. I mean,
Right.
this is a case in point, you know?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
the next one, Juan.
Oh, this was the last No King's March.
Ah,
Yeah, and then so we have wonderful activists here that oh my God, her
wonderful.
name just went out of my head. I apologize. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
you know
But
what? It's so hard. It's
she's
gotta be
old act
so
up.
hard.
I mean, this woman is everywhere, does everything, just fabulous. And I have a tendency to lose names. So I do apologize.
You know what? You're getting their moments, so that's worth everything in itself.
And a terrific photographer. She's a terrific photographer.
On top of it, right?
Yeah.
The photographer photographing the photographer.
Right.
I want
Yeah.
that.
So, and this is from this year's Trans Day of Visibility last week, or the
Well,
week and a half ago, and this was the T-Dove. It was called the Doll Walk, and
Yes.
And I'm sure everybody knows that, you know, people's passports are getting renewed and they're coming back with their old gender on them. It's just horrible, right? So
It's a denial of who somebody is.
exactly. And so
Yeah.
that was the point of the toplessness. You know, they were like, yeah, tell us that we can't be topless. Of course we can be topless because boys will be boys, and you're telling us we're boys.
Right.
So screw you. We're going to, you know, take off our shirts, and you can't say anything about it because you insist, the government insists that we're boys.
Exactly.
And it was beautiful. It was terrific. I mean, there was a lot of music, and it was a good group, and it was very inventive, you know, very artistic.
Yeah.
You know,
I love the motion of the bodies in here, and the scarves blowing.
yeah, and there was a lot, you know, we started out at we took the train uptown from Chelsea, and the platform was just full of all these trans women. It was fabulous. People are getting off the trains going, what's going on? And so we went up to like 34th Street and then or 59th Street. And so we did all of Columbus Circle, then walked along the park over to Fifth Avenue. I mean, they really planned it very, very well for, you know, the most visibility.
Yeah.
And just a really, really well done march.
Well, and you know,
And
I love
joyous. And it was very joyous.
It's joyous, and it's such a connection of sameness, right? And
Mhm.
safeness that we
Yeah,
have here. And you said it earlier, maybe some kid out in Indiana is going to see this photograph and
exactly.
not feel so isolated, right?
Yeah,
That's a
that
really good thing to be able to do.
that's kind of my feeling when I'm out there taking pictures. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I don't know what if how much it helps, but yeah, maybe.
No, it definitely helps. It definitely helps. And I'm amazed because I had seen you earlier in that evening at the Project Transcend Transgender Day of Visibility at the LGBTQ Center.
Right, right. I think that was the night before,
It
maybe.
was the night before, right?
Yeah.
You had a double header there. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And I actually did 3 things this year for T-Dove. I managed to find 3. It was good. It was very good.
Amazing.
It was a good one. Good year for the
All right, Juan, the next one. Thank you.
that's it.
Is that
I
it?
think that's
Okay.
it. Yeah.
So, you get around and you're really, I don't know of anybody that is documenting this to the degree that you are. And I do know I know photographers all over the country, but you certainly have
And
your
we have some wonderful photographers in
no,
New
they're
York doing
wonderful, but
this,
you definitely have your
and that
place.
are at all the things I'm at too.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
yeah.
you have your place in the sun here, Donna. And I'm so impressed with the photography and what it says. It's your message that you get out there with it. Do you have a plan to do a show with some of this?
Um, I- maybe there.
Maybe.
Yeah, a small one that that's so funny you asked me that. There was supposed to be one like in last fall, and it was there's a guy that owns a record store in Brooklyn
Ah,
that wanted to do it, and then there was a problem with his business partner, blah blah blah, and it got postponed. So, but he still wants to do it. So eventually there may be. I mean, he has the prints. I gave him photographs because we had a date and everything. It looked like it was definitely going to happen, and then there was a major personnel problem within his business.
right,
So
right. It's so you know
yeah,
what stuff happens.
yeah, yeah.
And you know what I'm also thinking as we're talking, the New York Historical Society is doing that whole LGBTQ program.
I will have 2 photos on the wall.
Fabulous.
From,
That's what I
yeah,
wanted. That's all you made my
yeah,
night because
yeah, yeah.
looking at your work and it needs to be there as well, right?
It's very funny because the check just came today.
You see, I really am psychic.
Small, it's small, but I can say I did it.
You
Right?
not only did you do it, but it's going to be up there
Yeah.
permanently.
Yeah,
That's
you
really
know, during Stonewall 50 when they had that huge thing,
yes,
okay, and they had all the pictures up on the wall.
yes.
Yeah, well, they're gonna do a piece of that. You know, they're gonna put some. They're gonna make a much smaller wall. They're gonna do a very similar things, I guess, but smaller is how I understand it. And
Wow.
the 2 photos I had up there, they're gonna use again.
Oh, that
So
would be wonderful. Wow. And
yeah.
that that's really exciting. Well, you won't believe it, but we only have 2 minutes left. Look how happy she is.
No, you were wonderful. You were terrific. Thank you.
Oh,
I just get very nervous about these things.
It's
You
great
know.
though because you know what is important. A lot of times I feel this. You get to see the work, but you never get to really talk to the person that does the work. That goes for film or still photography. And for me, I always want because I interview people, I want to know about that person, like what is in them that let them capture that, right?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, makes sense.
It
I don't.
makes sense.
When you're sitting in the middle of something being talked about yourself, you kind of you.
Right, right,
So
exactly. So, I guess parting words before I always take a picture. I'm sure this is another thing you hate too, but I always take a picture of my guests when they're on the show. So just look into my camera, look happy, right?
yeah.
Cool.
Thank
Um,
you.
Pride's right around the corner.
Yep.
sure you probably book like every single day for Pride, right?
Pride gets harder every year. The older I get, the harder it gets
I know,
because
yeah,
as the years go on, it started out, it was a weekend, then it was a week, then it was, and now it's like there's something constantly.
It's a month, and by the
it's a lot of work. It's a ton of work.
For you shooting all that shooting, and I'm at so many events, and by the time I get to the payoff, which is Pride itself, I'm
You're
ready
exhausted.
to fall flat on my face. I'm like,
and last year some of it went into July.
oh, it totally
did.
Right.
So,
and I have to tell you, for us at Triversity, we do our Pride. I think we did it in August last year. I think we're doing it in August again this year. I have to get that date down. But out of New York, the Pride celebrations went all through the summer, just so you know. So, and you know what? Yep. With everything going on, I think that's really important.
How far away is that in Pennsylvania?
So we are very close. We're 1 hour and 40 minutes from New York City.
Maybe I'll come.
That would be amazing.
Be fun.
It would be fun. And that would
Pride in a small town. I did the No Kings March, the last No Kings March in Provincetown. Not the one that just happened, but I was in October. Wow. There was one, and that was the most fun I ever had. There were like, a lot of people. It was everybody came out. Everybody came out.
Amazing, but it's good to get out of New York, right?
Yeah, and it was awesome.
See something different. Thank you, Donna. Tremendous, and
thank you, Wendy.
I'm sure our paths are definitely going to cross because we will be at a lot of the same things in the next coming weeks. My God. Yep. And we're just getting started. Thank you, everybody who tuned in tonight. Have a great rest of week, and take care of yourselves, and mostly, not only take care of yourselves, take care of the people that you love. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.